What up, everybody, and welcome back to the Wilson Dittman Sports Channel here on YouTube, where we talk about everything related to basketball, whether that's players, whether that's recruiting, whether that's staff, right here on this channel. So if you like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe. Without further ado, I'm starting a new summer series on this channel. We're going to be making videos about every positional group here on the Huskers roster. We're starting off with the quarterbacks today, and we'll go through the list. That goes quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight ends, O-line. That's the offensive side of the ball. Then we'll get to the defense. If you want to see a schedule of when I'm going to be posting each positional breakdown, it's on my Twitter. So hit the link in the description. There's my Twitter on there, and you can find the schedule for all of the upcoming videos in this series. But let's start off with the quarterback room. And man, oh man, it's interesting. Let's start off just talking about comparing the room last year to this year. So last year, we had 9 quarterbacks on the roster. You know, when Scott Frost got here, he talked about having the big walkout program. Our roster was inflated about, I think, 170 players at maximum. It was ridiculous. This year, we have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. It goes to 9-4. And there were a couple guys who transferred out, and then 1 over 2 of them who switched positions. So let's run through who switched. So Cooper Hosman's the first one. He was a walk-on. He's now a wide receiver. Chubba Purdy's back from last year. Micah Pauley is now going to Kansas to play baseball. He was a walk-on. Logan Smothers transferred out. He's going to Jacksonville State, I believe, or Jackson State. Jarrett Sinak is no longer with the program. Heinrich Haarberg is still here. Casey Thompson transferred to FAU. Richard Torres transferred to Incarnate Word. Matt Masker graduated, and there you go. And this year, we talked about it. Heinrich Haarberg's back. Chubba Purdy's back. Jeff Sims comes in from Georgia Tech, the eluded quarterback 1, without a question. And then Jack Woche comes in. He was at, I think I'm butchering that last name, but he comes in from Ole Miss. He's a walk-on. Nobody's really talking about him much, but he is the 4th quarterback on this roster. He started his career at Ole Miss. He's from IMG Academy in Florida. Kind of a sleeper player. We'll get to him there at the end, but let's start off talking about Jeff Sims, who is going to be the quarterback, who you see predominantly in the season. Obviously, everybody knows him in Husker land at this point in time. He is quarterback 1. There is no battle. There is no debate. We thought there was going to be a quarterback battle with Casey Thompson, and I don't blame Casey for leaving. We talked about it when he announced that he was transferring. I don't blame him for leaving. He's at the point in his career where he wants to be insured, just like Adrian Martinez. He wants to be insured that he's going to start. He doesn't want to battle for a spot. Just like Adrian Martinez left a year ago because he wanted to be insured a spot that he was going to start. And he wasn't, so he left and went to Kansas State where he was insured a spot. Same deal with Casey Thompson. I think, honestly, I would have much preferred a quarterback battle. Jeff Sims is a great quarterback. And I really like, again, dual threat ability we saw in the spring game. Really solid. You look here at the stats. In 2022, he had 1,000 yards passing, which is, you know, that's minimal. That's minimal. But you got to add in the fact that he was injured. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But in his career, he's about 5,000 yards passing. And looking at the running game, 500 yards rushing in his freshman year. Through 400 his sophomore year, and then last year he had 300. So this is a guy who can do it on the ground as well. Nebraska's liked those quarterbacks in the last decade. No matter who the coach has been, they've liked dual threat quarterbacks. So this is a guy, statistically, it isn't impressive. Like, the rushing is impressive. You see that. It jumps off the page. But this is a guy who's never thrown for more than 2,000 yards in a season. Like, that is not great. And I think a lot of people are just assuming he's going to come in and be really solid, like Casey Thompson was. But I just don't think so, because there is a lot of flaws, and he does turn the ball over, and he is sloppy with it. And that's something that Satterfield doesn't like. That's something Matt Rule talks about. We had a big problem with that in the spring game, was turning the ball over. And that's something that Sims could struggle with at times. And he has the fumble problem, just like we saw with Adrian Martinez. And I think it would have been beneficial for both quarterbacks if Casey Thompson stayed to have that quarterback battle. Iron sharpens iron. The fact that Jeff Sims is the quarterback, I mean, at least there's no tension about it. At least there's no debate about it that we can talk about this summer and argue about. We know who it is. We can focus on that. We can watch film about him. But I would have liked it because I think Casey, honestly, if he stayed, he would have ended up being quarterback one because I think Casey is the more talented quarterback just from a drop back, pass and throw perspective. I think he's by far the more talented quarterback. He can make every throw on the field. I don't think Jeff Sims can. I've said that over and over again. I still think Jeff Sims is a good quarterback, and I think he'll be serviceable for us. But if you're expecting Jeff Sims to come in here and be quarterback one and be all Big Ten, it's not happening. If you're expecting him to come in here and be the perfect dual threat quarterback and not throw any picks and not be risky like he has been at Georgia Tech, and I mean, granted, you look at his picks in his entire career, right? So 5 touchdowns and 3 INTs last year, which is an improvement. In his freshman campaign, 13 TDs, 13 interceptions. Right? This is a guy has a 1-1 ratio. That's a problem, and that's something that we need to fix. And I'll continue to harp on that throughout the offseason. And again, I am not a Jeff Sims hater. I think Jeff Sims is going to be a heck of a ball player for us, man. But I also understand that he's not bona fide the best player we've ever seen here. Casey Thompson, I think, was a better quarterback. I think Adrian Martinez was a better quarterback. I love to see Jeff Sims in the real offense. People love to dissect the spring game. The spring game means nothing. A lot of times the offense you see in the spring game looks absolutely nothing like the offense you see in the real season because offensive coordinators don't want to show you anything. They don't want to show the opposing teams anything, and rightfully so, especially from Satterfield's perspective. He's brand new. He doesn't want to show anybody anything. It's going to be bread and butter, and that's what we saw. So honestly, I want to get into, and I'll do this for every positional breakdown, what I'm expecting statistically from Jeff Sims. I am expecting him to get 2,000 passing yards. I'm expecting him to end with around, I'd say 2.5K. I don't love that number because I'm just gonna say 2,000. I'm gonna say 2,000, and I'm gonna run with that because I don't love 2.5K with him. Casey Thompson ended with about 2.4 last year. Jeff Sims is, again, the worst quarterback in my opinion from a throwing standpoint, plus the injury concern, which I'm going to mention later. So I'll say he ends up with about 2,000 passing yards. I think he plays in about 8 games this year, 8 or 9. So I'm going to say he has about 13, 14 passing touchdowns and about 10 INTs. I think it'll be a problem once again. But yeah, let's get into the injuries because as we transition from talking about Jeff Sims, we're talking about Chubba Purdy, we're talking about Heinrich Haarberg. We need to talk about the fact that we haven't seen a Husker quarterback play an entire season since, I think, Tommy Armstrong. Wait, no, let's see. Honestly, I think it is Tommy Armstrong. So we didn't see it at all in the frost era. Adrian Martinez got hurt 2018, 2019. He didn't really get hurt in 2020, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I don't even. Let's move on. I don't even want to think about it because it's going to waste some time. I'll get back to you on that one. But we have struggled keeping quarterbacks healthy. We had the whole shenanigans with Adrian Martinez every single year. We struggled with Casey Thompson getting injured last year. He was injured for most of the year. We found out after the season he was a lot more injured than we initially thought he was. He was injured coming into the year too. I mean, we're talking about a guy who injured his thumb at Texas the year before, and he came into the spring ball injured. So that's exactly what I'm expecting again this year. Hold on. Maybe Tanner Lee plays entire year here. I'm just saying that we've had quarterback issues. And that's going to happen again because of the offense we run and the dual threat nature of Jeff Sims. There is a very high probability that Jeff Sims goes down this year. And there's a very, very high probability that he will miss a game or two. And This is a guy who's already dealt with injury issues. Last year, he played about 8 games for Georgia Tech before getting sidelined. Let's go to 2021 here. 2021, he did not play the full season either. And then in 2020, 1, 2, 3, 4, he played. In 2020, he played a good amount of the games. He played about 10. So, yeah, this is a guy who's never played a full season in his entire career, Jeff Sims. This is an O-line that is still going to be one of the worst in Power 5. This is a team who's still developing, especially offensively. Jeff Sims will go down this year. And that's what worries me, is the fact that we have 4 quarterbacks, is that we need this depth more than ever. And let's get into who I think will be quarterback 2 and who I inevitably think will probably be our downfall this year in Chubba Purdy. I know a lot of people in Husker circles think it's going to be Heinrich Haarberg who's going to be quarterback 2. I'm going to say I don't think he will be. I'm notorious for saying that I didn't like the Heinrich Haarberg get initially out of high school. I didn't see the upside. I didn't see the realistic possibility of him even getting on the field. And the only reason he has a potential to get on the field right now is because our depth is really poor, the quarterback position. And even then, I think Chubba Purdy is going to get there. I think Chubba Purdy is going to be quarterback 2 for one reason: experience. Right? He started last year, I think 2-3 games, and he had experience at Florida State. And 2, I just think he is the more polished quarterback right now. I think Chubba Purdy not only has the highest ceiling of the 2, just from a potential standpoint. You look at his brother and what he's doing in the NFL, and Chubba Purdy, coming out of high school, was a better recruit and has better overall arm strength and etc. overall skill set. Chubba Purdy's better than his brother in that comparatively out of high school. So yes, I think Chubba Purdy absolutely has the higher potential than Heinrich Haarberg, but I also think Chubba Purdy has a higher floor. And I know we saw a lot of bad Chubba Purdy play last year, and he honestly did not deserve to be on the field over Logan Smothers. But we're comparing him to Heinrich Haarberg because Heinrich Haarberg was unplayable. He was unplayable. There's a reason this guy's been on the scout team since he got here. 1, he struggled learning the playbook. And 2, he is completely unpolished. He has been raw. He was raw out of Kearney Catholic. He's super raw. And yeah, he can throw the ball 70 yards. But he struggles with the intangibles of the game. And that's like no other quarterback we've seen. And that's the reason he hasn't played. He hasn't played a snap. We played Matt Masker over him, a walk-on. Like, that should tell you how the previous staff felt about him. And I know you're going to be like, oh, well, Frost did a lot of stuff about everybody. Well, I don't think he was wrong on this one. And I think Rule knows this too. I know a lot of times Rule's hyping up Heinrich Haarberg. He's saying, oh, I want him at quarterback. Well, he kind of has no choice. He can't put Heinrich Haarberg at quarterback or at wide receivers where he should be, because if he puts him at wide receiver, we only have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. He needs Heinrich Haarberg. Right? So, yeah. But that's why I think Chubba is going to be there. So let's get at just Chubba specifically. I think Chubba has the upside. I didn't like him either, getting him out of Florida State. I won't lie. I thought it was unnecessary. But the upside's there. I think it's just about the intangibles. Same thing with Heinrich Haarberg, is that it's all about intangibles and figuring out the game, figuring out the offense. That's really what I saw from Chubba Purdy. And when he looked good, potentially. He had opportunities to look good. He did look good occasionally in 3rd games, but he'd get banged up one play and he'd let it get to his head. He has no sense of pocket presence. Whenever the pocket broke down, he ran for his life. He had no idea what was going on. He threw terrible throws under pressure. Really, it's just the intangibles for him, man. And the same thing goes with Heinrich Haarberg. I just think Chubba's more talented. But I'm feeling, this is why, this was me. I was really frustrated when Logan Smothers left. And, well, I mean, okay. I sit on here. I wasn't mad at Heinrich Haarberg when Logan Smothers left, because I wanted Logan Smothers to go succeed. He was never going to start here. But from a Husker fan perspective, I was mad because Logan Smothers is a heck of a college backup. You could do a lot worse than Logan Smothers, and you're going to see a lot worse this year, because there is going to be a game or two where Chubba Purdy and Heinrich Haarberg start because Jeff Sims goes down, because of his injury issues and because of Nebraska's injury past. And we'd have to have a miracle to win those games. I'm talking a miracle. Do you really think with Nebraska's roster that if Chubba Purdy goes out there and plays against Louisiana Tech, let's say Jeff Sims gets banged up early in the year, and Chubba Purdy or Heinrich Haarberg goes out there and starts against Louisiana Tech, with our history, against especially last year, with our history, do you think we're going to go out there and beat them? Absolutely not. I don't. I have no confidence. We saw that in 2018 when we played Northern Illinois, who consequently we're playing again this year. We saw that again where we saw Noah Vedral go up against them, and we got absolutely destroyed. I mean, we got embarrassed on our home field against them. Yeah, it's not a recipe for success. I really, really don't like them, man. I really think we kind of botched the situation when it comes to quarterbacks, and you'll see that later in the year. I mean, I don't think it's Rule's fault by any means. There's not really much he could have done. Frost killed the room when he left, and he killed the room when he was here. There was nothing Rule could have done. Casey, I don't blame for leaving. Logan, I don't blame for leaving. I was kind of surprised by Richard Torres leaving, but that's whatever. And then let's get to our last quarterback here before we talk about, again, what I expect from this room. I've already hinted at it. But Jack Woche, or Woche, it's probably Woche. But yeah, he came from Ole Miss. He is a walk-on quarterback. He's your fourth quarterback and our last quarterback on the roster, basically. He has 4 years of eligibility. He was a national champion at IMG Academy, but he didn't really play. He was their backup quarterback that year. So kind of something to watch. It's rare that we have a walk-on quarterback from IMG Academy on the roster, a guy who transferred from Ole Miss. So, I mean, maybe he could do something. Likely he won't, but I wouldn't even be surprised if there's an opportunity for him to go on the field this year because injuries and the lack of depth. So, yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to what I expect from this unit. What you have seen from quarterbacks the last couple years from Nebraska football has been, in one word, roller coaster. Okay, you'll see Adrian Martinez go out there, play really good, go out the next one, look rattled, get injured, and be out the next one, and you have no idea what's going on. You saw it with Casey Thompson last year. We've seen that throughout the years. We even saw that in the Mike Riley era with Riker Fife. You know, like we have never really had, in the modern era of Nebraska football, meaning the last 15 years, we haven't had consistent quarterback play for them to stay on the field because of injury. That is going to stay the same this year. We already talked about it. Jeff Sims will get down. Because of that, I think it's going to be a rocky year when it comes to quarterbacks. And I hope that Satterfield's offense, and I think one of the reasons why they're gearing toward a run-first offense is because they understand kind of the predicament we're in when it comes to quarterbacks. And they trust Jeff Sims. I fully believe they trust Jeff Sims. I trust Jeff Sims too. I know I said that. I think he's going to turn the ball over and not be a particularly amazing quarterback, but I think he'll be fine when it's all said and done. But I think they understand that, hey, we need to be a run-first offense because if he goes down, we're screwed. We're utterly screwed. The reason why, when we started Chubba Purdy against Michigan and we looked like one of the worst teams on the planet that game, was because Mark Whipple and Scott Frost's offense is a pass-only offense. And when you throw in a really bad quarterback, you have nothing to do. You're not going to do anything offensively. We've seen Iowa put in the worst of quarterbacks in entire college football. I mean, we're talking entirely D1 college football. They put in awful quarterbacks over the last couple of years, and they could still win games. Why? Because they run the ball 75% of the snaps. And I just can't help but think that's the reason why Matt Rule and Satterfield are so focused on running the ball. Look at Satterfield's offense at South Carolina. Okay, he was not a run-first offense by any means. Like, if anything, he was comparable to Mark Whipple. A lot of bubble screens, but a lot of throwing the ball with Spencer Rattler. But there it is, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is a heck of a quarterback. He's not an NFL caliber quarterback, but he's a really solid college football quarterback. And he was really solid from last year. That's the reason why they passed the football. And once we get a reliable quarterback, but more importantly, reliable quarterback depth, you could expect Nebraska. You can expect Nebraska to go to more of a passing offense. I think long term they're going to stick with running the ball almost no matter what, because I don't think we're ever going to get that guy at quarterback. We had a shot with Dylan Raiola. I don't think we're ever going to get a blue chip quarterback to change our offense that much. And I think they're also going to realize that running the ball works pretty dang well in the Big Ten West. And there's reasons why Iowa's never went away from it. There's reasons why Wisconsin hasn't went away from it. There's a reason why Illinois is going toward it. There's a reason why Purdue's about to go toward it. The only reason why Purdue was a pass first team is because they had a heck of a quarterback in Aiden O'Connell. Now they don't. So they're going to go right back to running the football like every other team. So, yeah. I think the scheme is definitely going to have to be changed due to this lack of depth. I don't think it's being talked about enough, though, how much of a pickle we're in. And when it comes to quarterback, I'm going to give this room a letter grade, and I'd say it's a D. I'm sorry. I'm not a pessimistic fan. I really am not. But I'm a realist fan. Okay? And I like Jeff Sims. I don't love Jeff Sims. Okay? I don't love Jeff Sims. But I don't like our depth at all. And if we still have Case Thompson on the roster, if we had Logan Smothers on the roster, that D grade would probably go up to like a B+. That's how much depth is important here. If we had a consistent history with keeping quarterbacks healthy, if Jeff Sims came in here and he played full seasons for Georgia Tech, I would not give it that grade. But because I know for a fact that Jeff Sims is going to get banged up, it would take a miracle, and I mean this, it would take a miracle for Jeff Sims to play all 12 games this year. Take a miracle. It's not happening. So because I know he's going to get banged up, because I know Heinrich Haarberg or Chubba Purdy is going to start a game and play significant, meaningful snaps against a possibly really solid team, I'm going to give this team a D and this room a D, and I think this will be the downfall. I think we'll lose games because of our quarterback depth. I think there's going to be a game out there like we might play Purdue, who's a really bad football team this year. Purdue is going to be really bad. Okay, we might play in Illinois. We might play Maryland, and that's a winnable game. Those are winnable games, and because of the fact that Jeff Sims is injured, and Heinrich Haarberg or Chubba Purdy starting, or maybe even Jeff Sims is injured, but it impacts his gameplay, and it impacts his skill set. Because of our banged up quarterback room, and because of our lack of depth, we're going to lose games that we shouldn't. And I think inevitably that's why I don't think this team's going to be impressive this year. I think we'll probably be 6-6, but I think more likely than not we'll be 5-7, 4-8, and we'll get to our schedule analysis. I don't want to jump on that, and I don't want to seem like a pessimist right now because I like Jeff Sims. And I'm praying to God every night before I go to bed. I pray to God, Lord Jesus, can Jeff Sims play every single game this year for the Nebraska Cornhuskers? Amen. I mean seriously. But yeah, so D unit, it really is, but it goes up from here. I'll tell you that. It really does. Really looking forward to the next video. We're going to be talking about the running back room. It drops Saturday. That is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. Wide receivers going to be fun to talk about. So we got a lot of upside coming up. But overall, to recap, don't worry. Don't let this impact your Kool-Aid levels. If Jeff Sims stay healthy, we're fine. But inevitably, Heinrich Haarberg, Chubba Purdy is going to get in the game. We're going to be scrambling just because of their inexperience, because I don't think they're polished quarterbacks, because of the fact that they struggle with the intangibles. We saw Chubba Purdy play last year. It was a mess. And Heinrich Haarberg, I think, will be one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen even touch the field if he gets a snap. And I hope not. I hope not. But that's my take. But thank you guys all for watching the video. If you do, in fact, like the content or like the breakdown, please hit the like button and subscribe. 24 minutes on the video. Hey, pretty good. But that'll be it for me here. Come back to the channel on Saturday. We'll have the running backs review coming right to you. But as for now, see ya and go Big Red.